Welcome back to episode 2 of the Merge Feast. My name is Blake Hogmo, and I'm here with Logan Hogmo and Brandon Johnson. Guys, what did you think of this episode?
I once again loved this episode of Survivor for the second week in a row. 90 minutes is really paying off. The first thing that stood out to me was they brought the theme song back, the introductions to the players. That's something that we haven't seen since season 40. And it was one of those things that I never understood why they got rid of it. But it's back now. It's a fun part of the show. And to be really nerdy, I kind of got chills when it started playing. Loved seeing that. And along with the 90-minute episodes, I loved that we kind of got to see a lot of the tribe dynamics more than we typically would in previous seasons. I feel like in previous seasons, we would get to see a lot of the tribe that's not doing well or going to tribal, and the tribes that are successful. We wouldn't really hear that much about until we got to the merge. So it's kind of cool that we have a pretty good idea of what's going on in all three tribes camp this time around, and I'm just really excited to see what happens in the next few episodes with everything that we've learned so far. What stood out to you, Logan?
Yeah, like you said, one, obviously, last couple seasons they haven't done those intros and all of that. I knew I missed it, but I didn't realize how much I actually really enjoy those. The That kind of took me back to when I was growing up and like watching it. I don't know. It just made me kind of think back to obviously several years ago, and glad those are back. And 90 minutes, phenomenal. I hope they don't ever go back to just 60 minutes. I think the amount of content from, like you said, tribe to tribe, and not just focusing on the one tribe that's kind of struggling or on the bottom. I think getting an insight to everybody really elevates the show and is a great thing. And so I thought it was a great episode, and obviously a lot happened. So I'm excited to kind of dive into it. And all. What about you, Blake?
I think the 90-minute episodes are going to be a common high point for this season. Um, like you said, I hope they never go back to it because you just get to see so much more of the players, their stories, the dynamic. You get to see the tribe that's not doing well, the tribe that is doing well. Like you both said, it's fantastic. The big thing that stood out to me this show, and I'm sure we can dive into it a little more, but um, almost a totally different reaction from me regarding Emily. I was ready to kick her out last episode, and I could not believe they cast her, other than the fact of like she's just there to spice things up. But I found myself like growing to actually really like the girl by the end of the episode, and I think kudos to Survivor for being able to contrast the different parts of her and to show that. And kudos to her for kind of being more than a one-dimensional player. So I'm curious to see what you guys think of her this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I thought there's a couple moments in the show where I was like really starting to like her and kind of gain that, and then there was a couple moments I'm like, it's Emily. But no, I do agree. I think towards the end of the episode, I was like, okay, she's not as bad as I was thinking she was. But
Yeah, for me, at the beginning of the episode, they were still kind of showing the tension between Emily and Sabaya, and it just kind of felt like, Emily she's obviously going to get voted out. And then it seemed to change whenever Caleb pulled her aside and was like, "Hey, look, you are playing this game all wrong from a social standpoint, and you're not going to be here very long. So here's the things I want to help you. Here's the things that you need to do to last on this tribe." And the fact that she was receptive to that, and you actually seem to kind of see her turn over a new leaf, was refreshing to see, because I was not ready to have to deal with her for an entire season. But if this is how she's going to be as a team player and not somebody kind of alienating herself and just being negative the entire time, then I'm happy to see what her story ends up being.
For sure. And kudos to Caleb. I don't think that's an easy thing to do, to have that conversation with somebody on, hey, I don't really get along with you, but here's how I want to help you out. So I don't know. I think we got to see a lot of cool things about Caleb, and it made me like him that much more than I already did.
Yeah, I think it was smart for him to almost take her under his wing and like kind of coach her along. Obviously, they're both still trying to figure it out and all, but like you said, Brandon, her being receptive to it and actually kind of working on it was really cool to see. And I think long term for Caleb, it's going to be a really positive thing because I think she'll look back and say, you helped me get farther in this game. And so I think she will be loyal to him. And I think that's really going to help further down the road.
Well, in a weird way, it kind of reminded me of last season with Jam Jam and Carolyn. How Carolyn wasn't unlikable, but she was just kind of weird and the odd one out. And then the times that Jam Jam would help Carson or help whoever, and just like kind of almost put his game aside. So not the exact same, but it gave me flashbacks to that. And like, I'm really, really interested to see how 8 episodes in, 10 episodes in, how those two are, because it could be kind of a cool pairing.
Yeah, really, it could work out. I know it's going to be one of those things that we're just going to kind of have to take it day by day, literally, because I think the majority seems to be Caleb, Sabaya, and Sean, and I don't think that Sabaya is convinced that Emily will stay loyal. I know that Emily gave her shot in the dark as a gesture of loyalty, and we're good, but they're down to 4 now, so if Lulu, if it comes down to it, like it, Emily might still be the odd one out anyway.
And did Sabaya give the shot in the dark back, or do you think they'll show that next episode?
I would hope they would show it, but I don't think that anything was shown or anything like that unless I missed it.
I I I either missed it or they didn't show it. So um, the other thing I was gonna say, I like seeing all the tribes. I think we all mentioned that, getting to see the dynamics of every tribe. So far, Lulu and Reba, the yellow and the red tribe, are my two favorites. The blue tribe for me has a little bit going on, but it just, to me, not as exciting, not as um, I'm just more interested in Lulu and Reba at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Lulu is obviously a mess, so we're spending a lot of time there. Reba, I think you have two advantages going, and you just have a lot of good personalities going on in that tribe. Bello is still, it still kind of seems like they're trying to figure it out. 5 days into the game, they've got, you know, fun Uncle Bruce just having a good time and just constantly doing the robot, and Katura being completely unsure of what is going on with him. You have kind of a girls' alliance slash guys' alliance going on that will be interesting to play out. But yeah, I kind of with you there. Reba seems like a fun tribe, and they seem like a cohesive tribe. Drew comes back from the summit, and they're hiding from him and surprise him and are rubbing his head. I'm with him. I don't know what that meant, but they did it.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the excursion or the little boat getaway that the three had to do?
Well, first of all, Bruce getting in the boat and then doing the robot and then playing peekaboo with the tribe, like hiding under the boat. The whole thing was just weird. Like, it's not just Uncle Bruce, it's weird Uncle Bruce. Um, but I don't know. I Drew was kind of my standout person last episode. Just, I thought, I'm gonna really like him, and even more so this episode. Um, I thought it was kind of cool that he just happened to be standing in the middle of the two Brandon and Bruce, but he kind of started the conversation, and maybe there was more to it, but from what we saw, it was him asking them how their tribes were, and I didn't really see him give up much information, which I thought was really smart and strategic. Maybe he did, and we just didn't see it, but I thought that was really, really smart of Drew.
Yeah, I thought yeah, so far he's a standout player. I mean, he has, like, in his words, took that as a networking opportunity and, you know, took a chance to see if there was any potential partners if they're all there at the merge. He's kind of also building that in his tribe as well. But back to the summit, it was kind of a classic new era summit. We're gonna go here. There's a risk or reward, and did a puzzle. And Brandon, the self-proclaimed puzzle guru, once again, just coming up short, coming up empty. 20 minutes before that, he's giving Sabaya the beware advantage because he doesn't want to risk losing his vote, and then risks losing his vote anyway and fails. This guy is just a mess.
See, and up until this point, I was so high on Brandon because I thought, man, after last week where he was almost ready to quit as well, I thought, man, this guy needs some wins. So he finds the idol or the beware advantage, and okay, different of opinions on. I think Brandon, you even said you weren't sure if you would take the beware advantage, and Logan and I probably would. So cool, like no big deal there. Um, Glad he found it, and then he gets here. I'm like, all right, he's gonna crush this puzzle. This puzzle seems really like fairly easy. You just gotta work quick, and then he fails it again. I'm like, man, this guy cannot catch a break.
Definitely needed a win, but I don't think he could have hit water if he would have fell out the boat. I mean, he just wasn't having anything going for him. So I hated it for him because, like you said, I think there was some part of me that liked him. I was like, okay, he's gonna get going. He's gonna kind of figure some stuff out. But at the end of the day, I mean, it is what it is. To kind of touch on Drew, like you guys were saying, obviously a standout player. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt like maybe he's just more strategic than other people so far. I feel like maybe he's just been talking about it more, but I almost feel like he's playing chess when other people's are playing checkers. Thinking 5 steps ahead and kind of laying that out. Maybe he just talks about it better than other people, but I think he could be a powerhouse this year.
That always worries me though when it's so early, because there is something to be said about playing too hard too quick. However, with Survivor being now 26 days instead of 39, you have to play a little quicker. I just hope Drew doesn't get too crazy and out there, and play too hard to get himself into trouble.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, and so far I don't think he has been doing that. Like you said, I just hope he doesn't. But
Yeah, what do you guys think of his plan coming back from the summit to just straight up tell his tribe, "This is what happened. This is what I got. Here it is." And let's talk about what he got because I don't think we said that. He got the blanking on the name.
Safety without power. So it said you can leave tribal council right before the vote. So you cannot vote, but you also cannot be voted out of the game. And the last time that it can be played is when there are 10 people left, which that's a pretty solid advantage.
I think him coming back and doing what he did. I feel like a lot of people in this day of Survivor obviously are expecting this whenever they have the one person go off or whatever. I think a lot of people are they're either coming back with an advantage or they risk their vote. And so I don't know. I think him being honest, especially with that team not kind of having issues and them being all kumbaya, I think was smart on his part to build trust and then maybe pinpoint a few people who he wanted to work with. I mean, at that point, I think was it Austin that was like, okay, he's got an advantage. Now I'm going to go talk to him and tell him I have an advantage. And they kind of work together. So being open, I think, was an invitation for other people to be open with him, and that is a way that he maybe builds some of his alliances.
Yeah, I hope so. Um, I hope people don't see him as a big target now. But yeah, I don't know. I was trying to think of what I would do in that situation, and I would love to think that I'm a good enough liar to get away with making something up or saying that I didn't get anything, but knowing in the back of your head that people don't believe me. So I don't think it's a bad move by any means, but I don't know that I don't know that there is a right move, and so I'll be curious to see how he navigates that over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think if you're going to lie in that situation, you just have to come back and say, I risked my vote and I don't have a vote tonight. Because you've seen people come back and lie and tell some story that people see right through. So I think, him going and just telling everybody the truth to exactly what happened is him saying, hey, I can be loyal to you, or I'll be loyal to you. You can be loyal to me. And as you said, that opened up a door for Austin to tell Drew, "Hey, I also have this thing." And what's the most important thing in Survivor? It's trust. So now you have two guys that are like, "Okay, we're good." Along with Drew and Austin, D and Julie there's kind of a foursome in the Reba tribe that is formed.
I like that alliance. It's really the first one that has been talked about a whole lot, really almost solidified and highlighted. And this is jumping way ahead, but looking at teasers for next week, looks like that may be starting to crumble a little bit. So I'm very curious to see how they navigate this.
Yeah, it definitely looked like Drew was up to something secret that was it D that caught him? So
Mhm.
yeah,
And was it on that tribe or was it the blue tribe? This is a totally taking a left turn, but who was the girl with the really
that
long
was D.
toes? That was
Yeah.
D? Man,
Yeah,
that
I
toe was
started looking at
out
my
there.
toes. I was like, "Wait, are my toes are long? Is that how mine are?" And then I was like, "No, that's not it. Like something's going on there."
That's like a thumb.
Such a weird like but that's that tribe. They're just chilling, having fun. They don't have to think about
Yeah,
voting anybody out yet, so they're just they're hanging out.
And those are like moments like those, I think, are moments that we wouldn't have seen in the 60 minutes that I absolutely love seeing.
100%. What let's talk about searching for idols for a minute. I know it kind of kicked off with Emily searching for idols and the rest of Lulu wanting her to not find it, obviously. Um, and that's kind of when Caleb took her aside and had the conversation with her. But I'm curious what you guys would do because I feel like every season and every tribe, there's a different strategy. People will go out and search for it on their own, or they'll say, let's go in pairs or let's go as a group. What's your guy like? What would you guys do? Would you try and be secretive about it, or just say, "Hey, let's all go now"?
I think it depends on where you stand with your tribe. If you're on the outs, you're just probably going to be paranoid and frantic, and you're probably going to go and try and be secretive about it. But if you're in a situation like Caleb where he's in a pretty good spot, I think it's safe to be like, hey guys, let's go. We know there's an idol on the island, there's something on the island, let's just go find it. I think that's the safest way to do it because it doesn't put a target on you, because you're not doing anything secretive, you're being completely open about what you want to do, and you're getting it to be kind of a group activity. And if you go out as a group and you find it by yourself, you could either share that with the group that you found it, or you could just put it in your pocket and then just continue to look like you never found it. So I think doing it as a group is the safe way to do it.
I would agree. I think the safest, like you said, the safest way to do it as the group, and then hopefully, obviously, other people around searching with you, but hopefully you're able to find it and hide it and it be a solo thing. But typically, I feel like if they are going out and searching like a group as a group, um, it almost seems like the alliances are kind of huddled around each other and like kind of searching in the same area in a way, and so they're around each other when they find it. So trying to be strategic in that sense of things, but one way or the other, I feel like it's Survivor, so you've got to go look for the idol.
I was gonna say, I think the only right answer is you have to look for an idol.
I think it's
So
foolish not
whether
to.
you do it for sure, whether you do it in secret or do it as a group, you've got to go look for it. I think it's just silly not to. The other thing I think we learned last year, because unless I'm mistaken, Carolyn did an incredible job of not really sharing her idols or advantages with anybody. And she may have at some point, but she kept those pretty close to her chest. And that worked out really well for her. And I'm always shocked how more people don't do that. And I know they use it to build trust with other players, but it very rarely, or very rarely, does it not come back to bite them. I feel like somebody will tell somebody, and now everybody knows. Um, so I'm curious to see how that. I don't know. I also feel like Survivor people will learn from like 2 seasons ago because they filmed them so close together. I don't feel like I feel like this one was being filmed as the other one was airing. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, it does. And I thought that too, but it kind of seemed like everybody recognized Bruce. Of course, I guess, no, he would be, okay, never mind. He would be the 43-44 group. That's why. Okay.
So, no, I guess Bruce was in 44 though.
Yeah, he was Survivor 44. So 45 and 46 are filmed together, I think.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think going back to the whole idols and using them as trust, I think we've also seen it more and more used as a deterrent for like maybe votes of saying I've got an idol, I will use it if I have to. Where I feel like it used to be more of a you keep it close to your chest type thing, and then if you are thinking you're getting votes or that's the way it's looking, you're using that rather than using it as a deterrent. Like you said, I think holding them to your chest almost typically works out better. I mean, how far did Carolyn get with that one that nobody knew about until she told Carson or Jam Jam? So keeping those close to the chest, I think, is, but that might also kind of depend in your spot in the tribe and where you're at socially, I guess, too.
It really could go either way because I was thinking about Drew's safety without power advantage, and obviously it's not an idol, but it's definitely something that if things turned, people could use that against him, and because it essentially is an idol without it actually being one, but they could make him feel good going into a tribal that they want to get him out at, and they know he has this, and they know he has X amount of days left to use it.
Or vice versa, they make him feel very uncomfortable because they don't want him to vote with the person they're trying to get out. Like you could use that a handful of different ways. So I don't know. I like that advantage, but I'll be curious to see how everyone plays it, not just Drew. And then let's talk about Sabaya's advantage or her idol encased in wax.
Very cool.
Brilliant.
Something new and something different.
When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then like it took me a solid 5 seconds. I'm not ashamed to admit it for it to click. Like, oh wait, they don't have fire. they can't melt the wax until they win something. Like I thought it was awesome and a cool little twist to the game.
Yeah, I would agree. And it didn't I realized they didn't have fire, but then a few seconds after it was encased in wax, they don't have fire. My brain almost went to other teams that obviously have fire, and once they get this, if it's the same thing encoded in wax, my brain went to, oh my gosh, this is going to add another level to, they can't just open something up and they've got the idol. They've got to do something else to get that idol. And in this case, you're melting wax. So that wax is going to be on the ground. So doing it around the camp is going to be really hard because you're having wax sitting there. Unless you can get it all out, it's probably going to take a while. But then also, does somebody try and go make a fire on their own so they can do it somewhere else? Or what's that going to look like?
Well, and I also like too that both of the beware advantages that were found are different. Meaning like the steps to do them are different. So one was the map that Tobias was the map where she like held the piece of paper over it and it showed her what tree to go to, and then the wax. But then Austin's was like now he's got to dig for something, and I'll be curious to see what the twist is once he digs it up.
Didn't Austin have? He had the one that had the like strip of paper. Was that somebody else that I'm thinking of?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that the strip of paper on the
Like the flag.
the
Yeah.
flag, and then that told him to dig in the certain area.
So I wonder if he'll have anything else to do after that certain area, or if once he gets that and digs it up.
I think he'll have the wax in there.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if everybody has the wax or if just some people do. Maybe it worked out really well because Lulu doesn't have fire, and that's like how awesome is it that they were the first ones to find that and to need it for the um for the idol. Like that's awesome the way it worked out. And if
Yeah,
everybody has the wax, then cool, because the rest of them have fire. But it is kind of ironic that they were the ones that found it first and need it, and they were the ones that can't.
it's either everybody has the same or the producers are really cruel and we're like, hey, wouldn't it be hilarious if we gave them something they had to burn to get to the idol? But I feel like they all three have wax that they're gonna have to burn at some point.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
The whole like piece of paper. Obviously, he had that and knew he had to go look there. But did you guys catch J Maya looking at those beforehand? I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, she seems like a sharp girl.
Yeah, definitely understanding the game that she's playing and knowing just based off of prior seasons that everything might be something and she sees these symbols or whatever on her flag and she's just like, oh, that's got to be something. But so she just goes and tries to decode it and then is now putting two and two together that, oh, there's probably something out there that I need to go find that will help me understand this. And no, unfortunately for her, like we've already said, Austin already has that. So she's out of luck.
Is there anything else that stood out to you guys before the challenge?
I don't think so. That's kind of where my mind goes to next, is that immunity challenge.
Yeah. No, I didn't have anything else either. Challenge. Hey, they made a new puzzle finally for the challenge. For years, they had the same puzzles just kind of recycled throughout the show. And I'm almost wondering if Carson from last season, his 3D printing that he was doing, it made them make the decision to create some new puzzles.
I
Jeff
think so
even
as well.
said, yeah, he even said he's like, no new puzzles here, nobody knows them. So yeah, Carson, I think, forced Survivor's hand there, which is good. You know, it's 45 seasons. I think you can make something new every now and then. But this challenge kind of came down to the wire between Bello and Reba Tribe.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just cut to the chase. Brandon did
I
horrible.
don't think he got a single
Trying to
piece.
see him. No, he didn't. And looking at him or watching him trying to fit that piece in, and the design was totally sideways. Like you may not have ever put together a jigsaw puzzle before.
Yeah, he definitely. It was kind of frustrating to watch because he wasn't using any sort of method or making any kind of educated guesses on the pieces. He was just like trying to jam pieces together. And even Sabaya was like, dude, what are you doing? Just we're trying to win a challenge here, and you're just kind of. I think his anxiety and panic just kind of took over him again, unfortunately. And for the second time this episode and third time this season, he can't do a puzzle and has shown just almost no value to his tribe outside of he's a cool guy.
Yeah, I guess he was thinking he was better at puzzles than he really was, because like you said, like clearly not looking at the shapes or the colors in the pieces and was just throwing stuff up there. I thought up into the puzzle point, I feel like the teams were all fairly even. Obviously, Lulu a little bit behind, but getting up to the puzzles, I thought it was cool that it seemed like all the other teams were fairly even with each other.
Well, and I think Bello came in. I think they were to the puzzle last, weren't they? And then they came back, or was it Reba that came back?
Bello was the last one to the puzzle, and
Okay,
Bello took second. But
that's right.
so yeah, it was between Reba and Bellows, literally down to the last piece. But can we talk about that fall that Kendra took on the balance beam? My
Ooh,
goodness,
yeah.
I don't
that
know how
had
she
to
got back. Well,
hurt.
I guess she didn't get back up right away, but swimming through the water, give it a second to kind of just clear out like the pain to go away. But that looked like it hurt, and it was right on the meat of the thigh too. Where
For sure. The other change that they made that I really like is that there's no more sitting out on back-to-back challenges. I forget what season it was, but there was like one girl that was always sitting out every single challenge. And I don't I don't remember when that changed, but in my head it was always you can't sit out in back-to-back challenges. But at some point they must have lifted that, and I love that that's back.
Yeah, I know Sandra, two-time winner Sandra, was famous for not playing challenges, and she would sit out all the time. And uh, yeah, I thought that that was always the rule that you couldn't sit out back to back, but I guess you could if there was a tribal council in between the challenges, was my understanding.
Gotcha.
So yeah, making it to where everybody has to play a challenge at some point, and you can't just you know leave your liability sitting on the bench. That's a great change because I mean, for me, why even go out there if you're not going to play the
For
challenge?
sure. For
yeah, and
sure.
I think it makes the challenges maybe more less predictable. Um, if there's one team that is they have 5 people and one person has to sit out, and the 4 of those 5 are just great at challenges. They've got 2 strong people, 2 brain people, or whatever, and it works out. They're just going to dominate every single one. So making it where maybe some team may have more of a liability rather than all strong people one week, and kind of mixes things up there. So I like that.
One disappointment that I've had so far that I hope changes, um, not a huge disappointment, but with 90-minute episodes, I really wish that I wish there were two challenges, a reward challenge and then an immunity challenge. Even if it's a small challenge for a small reward, I like seeing more of those things. And it feels like the challenges are just becoming bigger and more elaborate, and then giving more time for like talking to the players at camp. But I like more challenges. I don't know what you guys think of that.
Yeah, I think that unfortunately dropping from 39 days to 26 days is the
That's
main
true.
reason why
That's true.
they've combined the challenges because there's just less time to do it. That's my guess.
That's true. I forgot about that.
I am with you. I do like the more challenges and like the reward challenges. One that like always stuck out to me that I always kind of missing is the auction. And like the old school
Hey,
days. Like
spoiler alert, I'm fairly certain it's going to make an appearance this season.
Boom.
that was one that I was like, man, that is a great challenge. It's just fun to watch. And if that is the case that they're bringing it back, that makes me super excited.
Me too. I always love that challenge.
I think they took it away. I don't remember who, but I think somebody broke it. So they were just like, well, okay, we're not going to do this anymore. But yeah, rumors are it's coming back.
I'm gonna take a step back real quick. I loved the little clip of Sifu where he's talking about how he used to punch trees when he was young, and then he was just like karate chopping with the machete, and then the tree like broke off and hit him in the face, and it just that guy is a character, and I hope people end up loving him because I think it'll be really fun to see him and once the merge happens. But oh man, uh, great like 2 minute clip there.
When you could hear somebody in the background go, "You okay?" when the tree branch hit him in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
gold. He,
He's making the most of it and you love to see it. So I hope he goes on a run just for the sake of his character.
For sure.
just before tribal teams talking, um, after the challenge before tribal, there wasn't anything that really stood out a ton to me. I felt like it was the two saying, "Hey, we messed up. We know we're on the bottom," but it didn't seem like there was that much scrambling or talk there. It kind of jumped straight into tribal.
Yeah, it was interesting because obviously it was between Brandon and Emily and just based off of everything we had seen with Emily kind of having a redemption episode and Brandon just continuing to be just I hate saying it, just useless.
Yeah,
You kind of knew that the vote was gonna go towards Brandon. Um and he just they gave him a chance to, hey, tell us why you should stay, and he couldn't really sell himself like any reason why he's valuable to the tribe. He just kept saying, hey, this is my dream to be on this island, like that's why you should keep me. And newsflash to him, every person playing Survivor, that they're living their dream, so that doesn't really work as a reason to keep somebody. So
for sure. Because everybody seemed to really like him, and I really liked him. And there for a minute, it was like, man, you know, I could see a reason to keep him, and then thinking that just does not make sense. Um, but when they all voted and Jeff only read the two votes, did you guys catch the look on Emily's face?
I saw her almost look a little puzzled. She almost kind of like squinted of like, wait, that was only two.
Yes, and I think I could be wrong, but I think based on what she does for a living, I think she figured out within 30 seconds of that somebody found an advantage or a potential advantage and does not have a vote. I mean, obviously, they don't have a vote. So I know Brandon went home. I don't have it. It's one of those three. So I, I'm I'm betting she figures it out. Whether or not she figures out who it is, we'll see. But I don't know.
yeah, that's a really good catch because they all knew that Brandon didn't have a vote, right?
Correct.
So yeah, now she's just having to do some math and just like you said, her occupation in the real world.
And I think if she would have known that, now I don't think she was in everybody's good enough graces long enough to make this sway, but if she would have known that what's her name? Was it Sabaya?
Hmm.
Didn't have a vote. There was potential for her to go to Caleb and say, "Look, here's why I think Brandon could stay. Why don't you keep both of us? Let's get out her." And then it would have been her and Caleb voting out Sabaya. But she had no idea that Sabaya didn't have a vote. So, I mean, good for Sabaya for not like letting that out to anybody. And I don't know that Emily could have pulled that off, but there was potential there.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if that comes up, if Emily brings that up, that hey, there was a vote missing in the next episode, because that's a really good catch if she made a face after that.
You ought to go back and watch just that clip after Jeff reads the two votes. I mean, it's a very distinct, like, squint, and you can just see her mind start racing. And then that's it. That's all you see. But her facial expressions tell a lot.
Yeah, it wasn't just a coincidence. It was she. It almost looked like she looked like she figured something out. I was like, that doesn't seem right. Other than that, I didn't really have anything. Obviously, Brandon went home. I think all in all, a pretty good episode. But did you guys have anything else?
No, the only thing was at the beginning of the episode, I would not have thought I would have been okay with Brandon going home. I was really wanting Emily to go, and then just as the episode progressed, like, all right, Brandon's got to be the one. I like him. I would love to hang out with that guy. Seems like just a fun dude to be around. But I'm wanting Emily to stay, and it worked out.
Yeah, my the only other thing I want to say before we jump into Survivor of the Week is uh the teaser for next episode. We saw Jake, who we didn't really talk that much about. Saw him almost looking like he passed out over the fire. Uh, are we going to see a medical evacuation next episode, or is Survivor playing games with us? I have a couple theories. Uh, I think that one, maybe he did pass out and something really bad happened to him. Hopefully, that's not it. But my
Hopefully
other
not,
one
because I
is,
really like Jake, and I don't think we've seen enough of him yet.
yeah. Well, yeah. Wait, Bello. When they're kind of the middle tribe, right? So they're just kind of there right now. But my other theory with that is that maybe Jake found the beware advantage and he was burning some wax and his wax was done. So he was trying to jump in the fire and get his immunity idol out before anybody caught him.
That's true. I didn't really think of that. That'll be. I hope that's the case. I hope it's not him getting hurt. And I think it'd be cool for him to have the idol. But I don't know. They sure did make it look like he full on fell.
Excited to they really set up the next episode pretty nicely.
For sure. Well, and it looked like Drew may be getting himself into some hot water with D. Yeah, so they're in an alliance, and she catches Drew digging for something. So is Drew going to be able to get out of the hot water there? I don't know. We'll see. It almost seems like, based on the teaser, that Lulu might be taking a little bit of a back seat next week and focus a little more on Reba and Bello.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta hope that Lulu is gonna avoid tribal council next week because they're not gonna have a tribe to even get to the merge if they don't. You guys ready? Jump into Survivor of the Week.
Yeah, and as we've been talking, I've been going back and forth, but I think I would have to say my survivor of the week is Drew. Um, I mean, with getting the advantage that he did, the way he navigated conversations on that, the little summit that they had, and then just how him and Austin came together. I love their relationship. Um, I really liked Drew last week, and I like him even more this week. Um, I think he is, for me, he's the one playing just a step above everybody else.
Yeah, for me, I honestly, after the premiere of the season, I cannot believe that I am about to say this, but I have done a complete 180 on Emily. She is my survivor of the week because she avoided being voted out last week because Hannah quit. I fully believe that Emily was gone last week and kind of looked like she was going to be gone this week, but she got feedback from her tribe mates and she was receptive to it and she started playing a little bit better of a game that was a little bit easier to root for than the way she was playing before. So she's my survivor of the week this week. I'd be interested to see if she continues down the path of redemption.
That's who I was. That's who I was thinking. I was either between Drew or Emily. I think she had a phenomenal episode, and I totally agree.
Yeah, for me, as we kind of close this out, my survivor of the week was going to be Drew, and I'm still saying it is Drew. Kind of reiterating some of the things you said, Blake. I don't want to go just say the same things. So I agreed with everything you said. I did want to highlight Caleb as kind of like a runner up for me. I thought the way he took Emily in to help her kind of come out of her shell or adjust, obviously boosted her game, but I think in the long run could be a really potential highlight for for him, especially if he makes it far enough. I think that could be something to come back on talk on. So I kind of highlight something that he did that I thought was almost made him survivor of the week for me. Yeah, other than that, I think that's going to be it for this week. So join us back next week. Talk to you guys later.